Hello, this is the trade site Forex market preview and international economic data roadmap for the week beginning Sunday, the 6th of March, 2016, ending Friday, the 11th. Hope you had a good trading week. There's a look at the dollar index daily chart. Pretty interesting that we got the 9-bar startup phase to the downside that ended over 2 weeks ago, and we had to move up this far. We've only gotten one, two, and I'm guessing if I go to projection mode, there's three now towards the exhaustion signal, but we're well above the startup phase for that. So not too useful from that perspective. Almost made it back to the green static trend line, mostly sitting mid-range for the last several months. So look at the euro dollar, again, got a little bounce. You can see that 13 sell signal there, which also lined up just 2 days before a new 9-bar startup phase. That always helps. That's what caused the top in February, rolled down and exactly went to the red static trend line, which you would expect to be the target. The pound dollar had a decent week, moving back to the upside. Aussie dollar, look at this, breaking out of a 5-month range. Looks very strong. That's breakout point, folks. Too bad today's Friday. Pound yen, also heading back up for the week. Here's the euro yen, bounced just the last 2 days when the euro did. Pound Swiss up a little bit as well, and the New Zealand dollar. This is also getting ready for a breakout. This is a play long over the 1.6900 level. So keep an eye on that. You're going to want to be involved if you get there. All right, let's take a look at the intraday action on the inter-week action, I should say. Nice big cup and handle formation. Look at that on the 30-minute chart of the euro. So we basically opened flat on Sunday going into Monday, tried to push up, actually had a decent day down. Tuesday, very flat. Wednesday, very flat. Thursday, a nice push up. And then Friday, we had the two numbers, the trade balance and the non-farm payroll with the unemployment. So we go down in our size specifically because we worry about what you saw here, which was a spike in the news. You don't want to be full size on those spikes. They're just not really what you want to trade. Ideally, you actually cancel your trades right ahead of that. But then we were able to put it back in later in the day and make some money in the trades. Here's the pound dollar, much more consistent move to the upside. Range for the week here was about 400 pips. Probably the biggest day was Wednesday, maybe Thursday. So we did all right. We had some stop outs. It's not a huge week. We have posted our February results for Forex, almost 200 pips made on just the calls, the official calls, not including all the other tools and stuff that we teach. That is posted to our market blog along with our futures and stock results for February. It was a stellar month overall. All right, so what do we have to look forward to in the week ahead? How do we plan for what's coming? Let's take a look at the data first. So Sunday, you've got AIG Construction Index out of Australia, just a speech. Then coming into Monday, leading indicators out of Japan, German factory orders, foreign currency reserves out of Switzerland. Got the Centex Investor Confidence number out of Europe. The Eurogroup meetings will be going on. U.S. Labor Market Conditions Index. We've got a couple of speeches from Fed members. Consumer credit in the afternoon here. Manufacturing sales out of New Zealand. Another speech out of a banker in Australia. Current account out of Japan, along with their final GDP for the fourth quarter and bank lending all at one time at 6:50 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday night here in the U.S. Retail sales monitor out of the UK, business confidence out of Australia, trade balance out of China. 30-year bond auction. That's in Japan. Trade balance in U.S. denominated currency out of China. That's a new number. Interesting. We've got consumer confidence out of Japan going into Tuesday, unemployment rate out of Switzerland, trade balance out of France, German industrial production, CPI out of Switzerland, revised GDP out of Europe at 5 a.m. Eastern Time, Tuesday morning, U.S. small business index, housing starts out of Canada and their building permits, Westpac consumer sentiment, you jump all the way to the evening in Australia for the next data, money stock out of Japan, that's the M2 number, home loans out of Australia, preliminary machine tool orders out of Japan, manufacturing production and industrial production out of the UK. We've got a rate announcement out of the Bank of Canada at 10 a.m. Eastern Time Wednesday morning, along with wholesale inventories here in the US, a GDP estimate out of the UK. Crude oil inventories an hour into the stock market on Wednesday, 10-year bond auction here in the US, rate announcement out of New Zealand's bank and their press conference, PPI out of Japan that evening, MI inflation expectations out of Australia, RICS house price balance out of the UK, CPI and PPI out of China. I always like how they do those together in China. French final non-farm payrolls out of France, obviously German trade balance, French industrial production. This is all Thursday early. New loans and money supply out of China should come out at some point this week. Italian quarterly unemployment rate, We've got rate announcement out of the bank of the ECB, Europe Central Bank. Canada capacity utilization rate, press conference for the ECB. Weekly unemployment claims at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time here in the U.S. Natty gas 2 hours later, 30-year bond auction here in the U.S. Federal budget balance. We've got business and manufacturing index out of New Zealand and their FPI, which is an inflationary number. Japan's got BSI manufacturing index, and then Friday, German final CPI, Italian industrial production, trade balance out of the UK, the unemployment rate out of Canada, and import prices here in the U.S., along with China releasing their industrial production, fixed asset investment, and retail sales. I believe there's a time change coming up as well. There it is, next weekend in the U.S. So that's going to be a point where the U.S. and Canada are going to change, but nobody else does. So that kind of shifts the trading by an hour, the overlap between people in Europe and Asia and around the world with the U.S. So that creates some awkwardness. The other thing to keep in mind, even though we don't have any of our key data here in the U.S. this week, and there's no Fed meeting and there's no GDP number, we do have quarterly contract roll for futures contracts, and because there are futures currencies as well that will roll, that can have an impact. That's Thursday going into Friday, might be a little late. So we have nothing specific to focus on this week. We've got a lot of data coming out globally, not much here in the U.S., but I think you got to watch that New Zealand dollar breakout potentially, and see if that leads to something that looks like a clean trade at this point. Charts as usual, brought to you by eSignal 12. If you've not taken a trial of our services, feel free to do so. We'll help you out in the lab for a couple weeks. Have a great weekend, a great week.